I brought up something there that I guess turned out to be somewhat controversial with some of the bears. I said that they have an opportunity. I don't like that they're doing some drugs that are not approved by the FDA for the indication that they're being used. They're being used sort of off label, I guess is the right word, but I don't want to get into trouble with him. So if I'm misstating that, I apologize because I don't know the right terminology. But this drug that they're doing for testosterone. I'm not thrilled that they're doing that. That said, they're working on going into the sleep market, and I said, "Oh, this could be a billion-dollar opportunity." And a couple of bears came out immediately. That's ridiculous. This is whatever. And then one of them who had worked previously at Roe, which is an online telehealth pharmacy type company, said, "We looked at that, and it was a bad opportunity." And frankly, so I don't wanna, but you have to be careful when you're getting advice from people, uh, and advice when you're listening to people online to make your own decisions, because, he worked at Roe 7 years ago in between working for a hemp company and a gummies company. So, while I don't wanna say, like, that's bad experience, I would just say coming a couple years out of college and working as an analyst looking at something for a little while at Roe when they're in their infancy, I'm not sure if that tells you that it's a bad opportunity. I haven't heard a great argument of why it's a bad opportunity. The only arguments that I've heard so far is um, that you have to do an at-home sleep study, which isn't true anymore. That is something that's changed in the last 7 years. You can do not an at-home. You have to do an in-lab sleep study. You can now do them at home and get a prescription for a CPAP. So things have changed there. I'm not going to make the argument. I'm not going to make the argument that HIMS ahead of this quarter is a great buy. Most of the data that's trackable looks negative, doesn't look great. And as I've said before, they're trying to do very difficult things that are going to cost a lot of money to build out. I like it long term. I think that what they're doing to democratize healthcare and to make take away a lot of friction to some areas of healthcare, great. I don't think that I think it's between now and getting to a comprehensive ability to treat patients with a variety of issues, that's a there's a long way to go for that. So, um, I own a little bit, but I did wanna just address that because that's been out there, a little bit. But on that same, podcast, I mentioned something that I just posted to our subscriber chat that, I'm long Teladoc,
Hey,
TDOC.
David, before you move on, I just called it up. HIMS 34% is short, so you don't need a lot of flame to light the tinder. What are the catalysts you see coming up that cause the shorts some pain?
Yeah, so going again, I mean, obviously they've had short squeezes before, and the stock was $70 just this past year, last 12 months, I think. Um, they announced that I think that was during the GLP-1 craze, where this was the biggest thing, and so many things have changed there. Pricing is falling dramatically, so things that look to the upside that can squeeze can also be pile on when the shorts are right. So that's why I mentioned about the quarter. Um, but if the quarter turns out to be pretty good, that would be surprising for the shorts. I think that if they start to execute on some of these things and they show material progress on them, like to say we're doing uh, testosterone replacement or we're doing at home testing labs, including for testosterone replacement or hormone therapy for women, to say that is one thing. And that can squeeze shorts at a short period of time, which they've already done. They've already said that. I don't mean that they've said it to squeeze shorts, but they've said it, and that news is out there. But right now, most of the market, I think, believes that okay, you've said these things. Let's see it. It's like long-term guidance. Like you can say those things, but I want to see you
Right.
execute it. And you can announce long-term guidance and squeeze some people, but a week later, the people who don't like you are going to continue to short you. So 34% is one of the highest I've ever seen in the market. So I don't think it can go up. And so those people can only cover. But I wouldn't say, like, they're necessarily wrong. Everyone plays it for a different game. I mentioned to you, I'm thinking multiple years out. This quarter doesn't look so good. So, I'm hoping that's baked out there because I'm not the first person to say it. Hims House people have been saying it. Lots of people have said all the data, credit card data, web searches, app downloads, all of those things haven't looked very good. So I'm hoping that that's out there and the expectations are set that this isn't the quarter where they do $3 of earnings. So I think even just exceeding or meeting earnings at this point would probably be pretty good for them.
This recent spike, is that your podcast appearance?
No, I don't think so. I think it was because
All right.
RFK came out and said, "Look, we're probably going to try to reclassify peptides, certain like 15 or 12 peptides, so that."
Okay.
Um, and now that's great for them because they bought a peptide manufacturing facility, and they've been moving ahead of the puck, as the saying goes. They've been moving ahead of where things are moving for a little bit, and that was a good strategic move if this does happen. Now that's a meeting that happens in June, and so we'll find out in June. And if I were short, that's a part of the short squeeze that could happen. Is like ahead of June, I wouldn't want to be long short the stock because if they do reclassify it, it is definitely good for HIMS. Now, is that a good business to be in? So you have the lots of people are using these peptides off label and they're getting them from labs. They don't know what they're getting. If it's if all of a sudden they're reclassified, you can under a doctor's supervision get these even though they're not FDA approved. So on the one hand, regulatory wise, it's a good idea because you get physician supervision for something that hasn't really been supervised before. For the bad, my view of why it's not great is that if things aren't FDA approved, I wouldn't trust them. So that's a personal decision. Does it turn it into a really good business? It probably turns it into a very big business. I don't know if it's a very good business. Um, so, but that's HIMS in a nutshell.
Thanks.
Yeah, I did want to talk about this teledoc because on that same podcast, I mentioned one of the things that HIMS could do is they could partner with teledoc. Mental health is healthcare. I think we've all, yeah, post pandemic, have come to know that if we don't already, and they don't really offer anything for mental health care. Do they need to buy teledoc to do that? No, they could just partner with them. They have a giant installer, user base that could be cross sold HIMS products, and HIMS has a giant base that presumably might need access to mental health care. So, is that something that if I were in business development, I would explore? Probably. Is it very different from selling erectile dysfunction pills or GLP-1s? Absolutely. It's a whole different business. So something to think about. Hi, I'm David Maris. If you like what you just heard, we've tracked every single pick we make on the show, every ticker, every thesis, every entry price, over 1,100 picks and counting. We put it together in a free report with our top 10 performers, the reasoning behind each one, and a preview of our full dashboard. If you want access, the link is in the description.